Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Cheeseboy628 here giving you an extremely epic Ubers tier Pokemon Showdown battle. Now, this is really great battle, but it does take a while, so I'm just going to go right to the preview. So to start out with my team, I have a specially defensive Ferrothorn, which takes on rain teams quite well. It has Stealth Rock and Spikes. I have Excadrill, which is my Rapid Spinner. I have Zekrom, which is my Sub-Bolt Strike Hone Claws Outrage set, which does quite the big damage. I have a physically defensive Giratina, which can phase as well as harming physical attackers with Will-O-Wisp. I have a specially defensive Arceus Fly, and it's Fly because a lot of my team is weak to Earthquake, so it's immune. And I have a Choice Specs Dialga. Now looking at his team, I can tell that it's a rain team, and it's a little bit interesting because half of his team is OU, and the other part is Uber. So, I don't know what his set is for Kyogre, so I'm going to have to scout for that. I see his Tentacruel, which will be for rapid spinning, which is a bit of a problem. I see a Latias, so I can assume it's more of a defensive set, with Soldew, of course. I see he has a Skarmory, which would be Spike's Whirlwind. I see he has an Arceus, but I won't know what type it is until a little later. And then I see a Terrakion for his big damage. So, looking at his team in general, it looks like it's a bit of a phasing team, more of a defensive set with Terrakion. So, I'm going to have to see how that goes. Let's go to the battle. So I start out with my Ferrothorn, expecting to wall a Kyogre quite well, but he goes out to his Skarmory, which has the taunt, so I can't get up my Stealth Rocks. I've got to switch out because all I have is Gyro Ball, and I go to Dialga just to hit something really hard. I go for the Draco Meteor because I'm sure I can hit anything really hard, and I almost take out his Kyogre. Now, I'm not sure what he's going to do with his Kyogre, so I retreat back to Ferrothorn to wall the Kyogre. But then, he goes into Tentacruel, I guess to spin away some hazards. Seeing that my hazards would be quite useless here, he goes to the knockoff, predicting my switch, I guess, and taking out the leftovers of my Giratina, which is a little annoying. I go for the Will-O-Wisp just to get some residual damage on anything. Goes to his Kyogre, and this tells me that he's probably a Rest Talker, so more of a defensive set. He does in fact go for the rest, and this gives me an opportunity just to go for some hazards. So right here, I'm just going to go for my Stealth Rocks in order to get some more pressure on his team. He goes into Skarmory, and he gets his layer of Spikes, and as we trade Spikes. So, now he goes to the taunt, so I can't go for another layer of Spikes, and I'm just going to immediately go out to Excadrill in order to spin away his final layer. Now this is my first poor play of the game, as he does go out to his Arceus, which is Ghost type, and I should have thought about what type of Arceus it was before I went for that. But instead, I make that poor play, and then I make another poor play of just going for the Earthquake right away. So now he has all of his hazards up, and I'm just going for Earthquake, not even taking half of his damage each time. So he's at max health, and I think I need to go for the Swords Dance now. He goes for the Focus Blast, though, which takes a lot of my health away, and I go for the Earthquake. I'm just hoping that this Focus Blast missed so I could possibly Rapid Spin later, but nope. He gets the second Focus Blast off, and the Arceus is still living. It's quite a bit of a problem. Now we have Arceus versus Arceus, very stally because we're both defensive sets, and now we're both hitting each other with our hardest move, which is Judgment, and we're really getting nowhere because both of our sets are rather defensive, and we can both just recover off our health. So, it's pretty useless. He goes for his Arceus Ghost Recover, so that way he's at pretty high health when he switches out. He goes into Latias, and I just try hitting it with another Judgment. I go for the Ice Beam here because I do have that, and I'd like to get some damage. I do get a critical hit, but it won't really matter too much because with the Calm Mind, he has enough defense in order to not be killed by that Ice Beam. He goes for the Recover, a little annoying, but it's alright. I'm going to hit him hard with the Draco Meteor, but that's not enough to take it out even with two of them. He goes to the Dragon Pulse, which just cleans me out, which is like, dang, quite a bit of power just at +1 with Soldew. Going to Ferrothorn because I think I can take special hits pretty well, and I just go for the Leech Seed here because I'm starting to run a little bit low on health from the hazards. So, I'm nearly full, but that Tentacruel is possibly going to Rapid Spin, and I really don't want him doing that. But he just goes for the knockoff again, I guess predicting my Giratina once again, and just wanting to get a little bit of damage on it. He switches out from Tentacruel to Kyogre, and I really can't touch this thing. But I do set up a sub, and I'm just going to go for the Dragon Tail here. But then he reveals a Sleep Talk, and he gets Roar, so that was just great. Now he has his Kyogre, which is nearly at full health, able to phase anything out. And I guess he's scared of my Zekrom, so he switches out directly to Terrakion, and I just set up a sub on the switch. Now he goes for the close combat, and I don't want to waste time going for Hone Claws, so right away I just go for the Bolt Strike. And that cleans out the Terrakion, thankfully. So, now he goes into Arceus Ghost. I'm not really sure what it's going to do, but I'm just going to stay in and try to do some damage. But of course I missed my Bolt Strike, so that was wonderful. And he goes for the Judgment, and that nearly takes me out. And unfortunately, he's faster, so he has quite a bit of speed investment, because I'm max speed. And my Zekrom goes down. My Ferrothorn comes in, because I'm sure I can wall this Arceus Ghost. I go for the Leech Seed, because I need to get some recovery. And he goes for the Focus Blast, which misses, so that's kind of great. I just get some more Leech Seed recovery, and he goes into Tentacruel. I guess he's getting ready to spin away these hazards, because now we're both at max hazards. I go into Giratina, because here I'll just die out, and that way he can't Rapid Spin. But he goes for Scald anyway, trying to do some damage. Now I go into Arceus, because I don't want to take too much hazards from Ferrothorn. I go for the Judgment, and he goes for the Rapid Spin, and all of my hazards are gone. And this is a pretty bad position for me, or so it seems, because it's 2-5. He goes for the Scald here, and it gets a crit, and I have quite a bit of health loss there. But I just go for the Judgment, I guess. And now I'm sure I'm going to go for the Recover to get quite a bit of health back. He goes for the Whirlwind to phase me out, and so if he Whirlwinds us enough, we're both going to die from hazards, which will be quite a big problem. He goes for Taunt, so I can't even Leech Seed to get some health back, which is quite a bit of an issue, but I can't switch out because I don't want to lose too much health. I just go for the Gyro Ball here, so I can try to do some damage on something, and he just goes for Roost, and I'm just waiting for my Taunt to wear off so I can go for the Leech Seed. So now my Taunt finally wears off, and I can just go for the Leech Seed here, and I get it on the Skarmory. So now I'm at full health, which is nice, and I'm not going to switch out no matter what, because I just cannot afford to take any damage from hazards. He switches out to Kyogre, and I just go for the Gyro Ball because that's all I can do with the Taunt. And his Kyogre is just going to keep sleep talking, hoping to get the Roar on me, but to no avail. So my Ferrothorn's Taunt ends. So here I'm just going, after he goes for the Scald, I'm going to go for the Leech Seed to get some health. Luckily the Scald does not get the burn, but I say yet here because something's gonna happen in a little bit, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, please do not burn me, that would be terrible. But right now I'm at full health, going pretty well. He goes into Skarmory, and I just go for Spikes. So now there's enough hazards that Tentacruel can't spin them away. He goes for the Taunt here, so I can't Leech Seed. One of these times I'm thinking he might overpredict luckily, so I can get some more hazards, but that's not happening. I just go for the Gyro Ball, so I can do damage. It's really my only chance here. He goes for the Scald, and he gets the Burn, which really reduces my Ferrothorn's survivability. And I'm still taunted, but luckily the taunt ends now. I go for the Leech Seed, and I miss. So things are not going well at the moment. It's still 2-5. So I just need to recover to have as much health as possible in case he faces me out. But he predicts a Judgment, I guess, and goes for the rest. Now he's at full health, but I use the Judgment to take out a decent amount of his health. But it's still not enough in order to take him out by the time he's able to rest again. But the amount of damage I do with Judgment is very key in the future, and you'll see that later. All he's doing here is he's able to rest, and he's able to stall me out probably eventually, because I just don't have enough power to kill him. So I'm just going to keep going for some damage, but then he roars me, which is actually kind of good, because now I'm able to go for a Leech Seed. But the thing is, Ferrothorn's burned, and he just took Hazard's damage, so it's not looking good for Ferrothorn. But I go for the Leech Seed here, and since Burn cancels out Leech Seed, I'm getting Lefty's recovery after each turn, so that's nice. I go for Spikes just so I can get some more pressure on his team, and he just roars me out. So, now I'm just going to go for the recover, since I'm probably not going to have too much health after a couple more phases. So, I'm at max health, and here's at nearly max health. I'm going for Judgment again, which is really not good. I'm really running low on Judgment. And that's kind of key too, to bluff if I'm out of Judgment or not. So I go for the Ice Beam here just to get some damage and to try to convince him that I'm out of Judgment now. So now it's just going to be a war of him using Judgment and me using Ice Beam. And we're really not getting anywhere. My goal here is just to stall him out of moves, as we're both doing not too much damage to each other. He does get a crit there, which scares me, because if he gets 2 crits in a row, my Arceus is done and I've lost the game. But luckily that doesn't happen, and I'm just going to recover when I'm at low health, and he goes out to Tentacruel for some reason. And that is where the game starts to change a little bit, because now it's 2-4. Now look at this. My Judgment takes out Kyogre. It did a minimum of 31% earlier, so when it took it out with 34%, that was great. Now he brings in his Skarmory. I go for the Fire Blast because that's my move that has the most damage on it, even in the rain. And I get the burn, which is fortunate. All it does is really speed up the process. My Fire Blast does take out the Skarmory there, which is great. It's now 2-on-2. And it's really just going to be a stall war among the two Arceuses. I'm just going to go for Ice Beam because I don't want to waste my Judgment for sure. If I do even have Judgment anymore. But I do go for the Ice Beam here, and I will realize eventually that I will need my Ice Beam in order to take out Latias. So, after a couple turns of using Ice Beam, I do get a little bit smarter. He goes for Judgment here, but luckily I do go for the Recover, and I have over half health, which is nice. Now I'm at full from 2 recovers. He's going for Judgment again, and really we're just hitting each other with moves that we've got, I guess. I just hit him with Fire Blast because I realize I'm running low on Ice Beam. He goes for Judgment, but luckily I do go for Recover, and I'm over half health again. Once again, guys, it's really just a stall war here until his Arceus retreats. He goes for Stealth Rock, and that definitely tells me that he's running out of moves. But it's interesting because I guess he just ran out of recovers here, because otherwise he could have just stalled me out quite well. But he goes out in the Latias now, and I go for the Fire Blast. I'm like, oh shoot, I wish I would have predicted that. But I'm faster, and I take out the Latias with the Ice Beam. So it's just 1-on-1, and he barely survives hazards. And he doesn't have any Recover anymore though, and his only move to hit me with is Focus Blast, which has no chance of taking me out, and I just finish off the Arceus. So that was a great 2-0 victory in my favor. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, like always, please just comment in the video and I'll be glad to respond. Like, sub, favorite, anything you want if you think the video is that great. Thanks for watching anyway, and until later, peace.